Hi folks, this is Rusty Bell from Down to Earth Landscaping, and I'm here to talk to you about pruning hydrangeas and boxwoods. So I want to explain to you a couple of fundamentals with pruning. So when you're pruning plants, there are two basic types of cuts. You have what you call a heading back cut, which is pretty much like this boxwood. This boxwood has had what they really would, even though it's been sheared, that type of cutting is more of a heading back cut. It's just trimming all the surface, all right? But when you are in on a hydrangea like this, and this hydrangea, in the big leaf hydrangea and in the oak leaf hydrangea, both of them are flowering on second year wood. So again, the rule here is you really don't want to prune them much. And if you do prune them, technically you do them after they flower. But sometimes you have to cut the plants to keep them shaped so they look a little neat and clean and orderly in the landscaping. So on these, here you're going to break the rule of understanding that this plant only flowers on second year wood. So when you cut off a little bit of the plant, it's not going to flower next year. So, but if something was sticking out like on the walkway or something, and you want to cut it back, you're going to basically just snip this so that this plant going around looks neat and clean and not sticking out past a certain area in size. So again, same thing up here. If you want to keep this plant, pruned a little bit, this is a heading back cut where I'm going to cut this right here. Okay, and that's keeping this shaped in this size right here. And if I find a plant that I don't want, or a branch that I do not want, for example, like take this one for example, I might want to say, okay, this one is not something I want. I'm going to do what they call a thinning out cut, and I'm going to take it way back down in here. Now, most of these plants, if you look down in here very closely, you'll actually see there are buds down in here. And when you take a plant back much further on the stem, you are going to force those other buds to come out, so it'll get fuller in the base. So this is why when you're doing pruning, you want to do both types of pruning cuts. Heading back, it will just flush out on the top, and then sometimes if you want to get fuller down inside, you got to go down much lower in the plant. So when you're doing this, you take a plant like this and you'll take it way down so that when it flushes out, it's going to fill out more in this whole plant. All right, so on the paniculata, which is your limelight hydrangea, this flowers again on first year wood. So this is the type of plant, even though it gets big and it flowers on first, you can really whack this back, and when it sprouts back out in the springtime, you're going to get lots of flowers. Now, the time to prune this is normally late fall, early winter, or very early spring. You want to cut this, and you can literally come in here and you can cut this back, and you can see the buds that I left right here. So when this leafs out, it's going to branch out with two branches right there. And you don't have, you don't have to be afraid because it's going to really just blossom out big time in the springtime. So this plant right here is a smaller version of this plant. They are the same plant. This is your regular limelight, which again is something that's going to get anywhere from 6 to 9 foot, 6 to 8 foot. And this one right here is going to be more like 4 to 5 foot, 3 to 5 foot in height. So, but again, you can see this plant right here as well as this one. When you cut this one down much lower, you're going to have it flush out like this down lower, so it gets very full. And the same thing with this plant. The minute you start cutting this one way down in here, you're going to have all these things filling out. And if you have to, you could cut it down very low if you had to. But this is something that this plant, you don't have to worry about winter damage, because it's a plant that you can prune late in the fall, early winter, or very early spring. Whereas in the big leaf hydrangeas, both in the oak leaf and in the regular big leaf and the oak leaf, they do not like to be pruned in the fall. You could end up having what they call winter damage, or branches that would die back, and you would see branches like this, and then you're going to have to cut them back much further. And if you look down very far down in there, you can see buds which would come back out if you had a lot of severe dieback.